Hello and welcome to The Insider, a show designed to clue you into the biggest news, events, and announcements inside the video games industry, discussing with you some things you may know, some things you may not, and the glue that holds it all together is a little bit of my own opinion. My name is Paul James, thank you very much for watching, and let's get with the episode. I'm not big on streaming. I'm not big on streaming culture. I'm not big on the streamers that are big out there, really popular. It's just not my thing. I like to play the game myself, and as such, I tend to distance myself from that particular scene. But a piece of news emerged throughout the course of E3 a couple weeks ago that didn't really register on my radar too much at the time, but has become more and more prominent in the weeks since. Dr. Disrespect, one of the biggest streamers in the world. He's a Game Awards winner for Trending Gamer, and he's been there. He's really popular. He's got over 1 million followers on Twitter. He's got massive fan base on Twitch and several other platforms as well. As big as it comes within the games industry. He's one of the biggest personalities in the games industry. Well, he got up to some mischief when he was at at E3. Day one of E3. He's walking around the show floor with his camera crew, and they're live streaming the whole thing here. And at one particular point, he decides that in his infinite wisdom, that he's going to barge into the toilets that are being used. This is totally a public toilet. This is not some private thing. This is not some skit not set up. This is they just barge in there. There are a bunch of members of the public and possibly the press as well using the toilet. They're going through their normal acts and things you do when you go to the toilet. And he records the whole thing. Now, you don't see any private parts. I think people are sensible enough to hide what needs to be hidden in that particular case. But one thing really struck me. There was a child there. Now, may not have necessarily been the case. That opens up a whole other can of worms about the whole press and public thing when it comes to E3. But at the end of the day, there was a kid in that room who was exposed, sort of, to the world live on the internet because some dickhead decided it was a good idea to walk in with a camera and record everyone and publish it live on the internet. Not to mention all the adults in there they've totally had their privacy violated. That kid had his privacy violated. It's not okay. And so Twitch suspended the doc for his Twitch account got shut down, suspended, and it's only been in the last couple of hours, 24 hours, where things have started to change. And we're going to talk about that next. Two weeks have passed since what the doc did at E3. And 2 weeks is all it's taken for Doc's account to suddenly go live again. He himself has not been on a stream yet, but his fans are in the chat and they're all commenting away, and everyone's there's this bit of feverish hype that's starting to build about an imminent return. Doc himself is retweeting a whole bunch of posts that are declaring that he's coming back, he's about to come back, and I'm sure when he does, it's going to be some big flamboyant sort of thing. I'm not expecting too much remorse, and I'll talk more about that sort of thing shortly. But 2 weeks is all that's actually eventuated from this. I have a lot of opinions on Twitch's consequence, what I expect from Doc's response, and what I'm looking for should something like this ever occur again. And we're going to begin to talk about that next.
Damn it! The bodyguard!
Twitch may as well have just slapped him on the wrist. A 2-week consequence for a guy that's got the following that he does and has the influence over many children who watch his stream and plenty of others from society who watch his stream. So many people have seen that. It's probably empowered a lot of people who thought that sort of behaviour is okay. And we all know it's not. That is a massive breach of people's privacy, and it's not acceptable in any regard. For Twitch to lay down a 2-week consequence on the guy is simply not on. What does that actually do to him? There's no, all it does is potentially empower him and his audience, and it creates this grand return. Look, at the time I record this, he hasn't actually returned yet. Maybe within the next 12 to 18 hours between my recording and this going live, maybe that's occurred. But right now, all I can comment is on what I expect to happen. And what I expect to happen is for the doc to have one of the biggest surges in his traffic in quite some time. Yes, there'll be the existing fans that have been whipped into a bit of a frenzy here because it's been 2 weeks without him and they need their fix. But then he's going to pick up a whole bunch of other fans as well who've come on board because they're getting off on this sort of behaviour. And it's not okay. Twitch, yes, you have a 2-week consequence. It's your stock standard thing here for significant breaches such as that. But 2 weeks for something that is an illegal act and also a breach of their own terms of service, a severe breach of their own terms of service, is simply not okay. Anyone else, let's talk small Twitch streamers here. Let's say I got out on Twitch right now. That's it. The whole thing's over. I'm not coming back from that. They're not letting me bring that account back. I'm sure if I go to create another account and someone IDs me, that one will get shut down too, and it'll just keep happening over and over and over again. But Twitch won't do that to Dr. Disrespect. He won't do that to anyone else of that sort of ilk or that sort of caliber, that sort of marketability, profitability, because it his platform, his work, his community makes Twitch so much money. And so they're not going to be prepared to shut him down because he'll just go elsewhere and he'll bring his audience with him. And that's a massive financial knock to Twitch. And so they're not going to lay down the rules all that hard. They're not going to enforce it as hard as they should. The guy deserves 6 months, maybe even 12 months, a ban for what he did there. And I know nothing was actually exposed in this clip, but it doesn't change anything. What he did is illegal. Again, it breaches their terms of service, and it could very well have exposed someone. It's just not okay, and there's no coming back from that if he did. Twitch needs to reevaluate these sort of processes, and I know this is an extreme case, but they need to then be the harshest they can be on the biggest guys, because they're the ones that send a message to everyone else. I do that, no one cares, no one notices. The big guys, they do that, male, female, whatever, they're going to be noticed, people are going to pay attention, people are going to pay attention to the response to that, people are going to feed off that response. And by doing as little as Twitch has done, you've empowered a few other people to potentially do the same stupid thing going forward.
Ladies and gentlemen, I gotta take a diarrhea. Be right back.
In this final bit, I'm moving away from Dr. Disrespect, and I'm going to talk about another streamer, Etica. Now, normally in each episode I focus on one particular topic, and that's it. I don't know Etica. I didn't know Etica. I wasn't familiar with his streams beforehand. But Etica was a very popular, quite large streamer when it comes to Nintendo-based software, and he unfortunately committed suicide throughout the course of the week. And I've seen little anecdotal bits and pieces online, specifically on Twitter, people that have really been quite saddened by his death. And I totally understand as well. Fans, family, friends, they're all going to be affected incredibly by this unfortunate death. And all I want to do at this particular point of this episode is extend my best, just like everyone else has, to his friends, family, loved ones, anyone else who had a real investment in the guy and got something from what he did. Suicide is obviously incredibly serious. I know people that have been in that sort of headspace. As a teacher, I have unfortunately had to attend funerals of students or ex-students who've gone and committed suicide, and it's not something that for obvious reasons, not something I enjoy or ever want to think of or ever want to experience ever again. And to hear about anyone doing this, whether they're a big streamer or whether they're just Joe Blow on the street, it's a horrible, horrible thing. And I just want to kind of wrap up this episode by pointing out that if you are in that sort of headspace, and I know people that are right now, and I'm trying to do, I try and do what I can in those particular spaces to be as supportive as I can. But if you know someone who's in that space, or you yourself are in that space, there's help. Go get it. Wherever you live, whatever your system is, you're Australian, we've got your Beyond Blues and all those sorts of platforms. If you're elsewhere in the world, you have places that you can go and you can get help. You've got family, you've got friends, people who care about you. Please take advantage of those and don't become another stat, please.
Take care of yourselves.
Take care of yourselves.
Take care of yourselves. Take care of yourselves. And take care of yourselves. And I will see you again beyond the 500,000 landmark. Woo!
That concludes this week's episode of The Insider. I hope you enjoyed it, despite the somber final note. If you did, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. All those buttons are down below here, and hit that notification bell. That way you're alerted to every new video the moment it goes live on the channel. That includes Patched, more of the Insider, Player 2 Plays, Late Game Review, Gamer School, a whole bunch more. We've recently put up Lazy Gaming, the first episode in that series. It's a top 5 countdown. Go and check it out. There's some awesome stuff on the channel. Again, like, share, subscribe, hit that bell. Visit the website, player2.net.au, where you'll find reviews, previews, opinion pieces, news, features, the Player 2 Writers Draft, and a whole lot more. The E3 Hub's still there. It's still buzzing. There's still bits and pieces popping up. But of course, we're now back into the swing of things again, so go and check out all those reviews and previews and whatnot. There's some great stuff there. Awesomely talented people contributing. We're on Patreon, patreon.com/player2au, kicking a few bucks. At the lower tiers, you get early access to episodes, whilst at the higher tiers, you'll get monthly episode exclusives. Finally, there's Twitter. You can find me at Paul James Games, the website you'll find at player2au, and until next time, Doc, get off Twitch for a while. Please stop wasting our time, stop doing this stupid sort of crap. It's horrible. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you next time.